Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. It's freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak, and it's my contact information. Standard YouTube copyright, and no, my content may not be used to train AI LLMs unless I'm appropriately compensated. Keys to the reading, part one. I practice what is called constellation-based astrology, sometimes known as true sidereal astrology. It's astrology by the visible sky. Um, in ancient times, astrologers were astronomers, and they interpreted the sky. They interpreted the sky based on where they saw the planets in the sky. Tropical astrology fixed the signs to seasons around 200 A.D. Because of what's called precession of the equinox, the constellations, and a wobble of the Earth, the constellations keep moving. It's how it looks like the constellations are moving. It's basically how we arrive at our astrological ages. So I am reading the planets where they are, as an astronomer is more likely to, to see them. Part two, in using the visible sky, use 13 signs. Between Scorpio and Sagittarius is the sign of a fucus. It's a symbol of a person holding the snake by the head and the tail. The snake in ancient times symbolized knowledge. So this is the knowledge, and according to mythos, this is the knowledge to heal. Fucus and Asclepius were both wounded, and the gods came forth, taught them how to heal, gave them the knowledge to heal themselves, and ideally they healed others with similar wounds. So it's the sign of the wounded healer. In the visible sky, the constellations are all different sizes. Virgo is huge at just under 50 degrees. Aries barely hits 25. The constellations are all different sizes. There are astrologers who try to make them all the same size. It's not the way they are. And I use astrological midpoints as opposed to the IAU boundaries. The IAU boundaries are arbitrarily drawn. If you really zoomed in close on the IAU boundaries, you will find stars from one constellation over the border and into a different constellation. Athan Shementi noted this when he was looking real close at the border of Scorpio and a fucus, and stars from Scorpio were actually pushed into a fucus. So what he did was he looked at the zodiac belt, last bright star of Scorpio, first bright star of a fucus, what's the halfway point? Left things where they were they in their original constellations. So he did that with all the constellations, and it works fairly well. And I use it. Keys to the reading, part two. I interpret using what's called evolutionary astrology, which says these transits are lessons to learn. Yes, you are fated to face them. You have freedom of choice as how you're going to work with them. So you have freedom of choice. I honor and respect that. This is the weekly edition. So these are the universal lessons for you and everybody else on the planet. So do have some compassion on your fellow ground pounders. Dates and times are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone. As I do live outside of Buffalo, New York, I'm operating within 1 degree of exact because that makes it manageable. That's also when it's the most intense and when you're likely to experience it. Some of these transits do go longer. The software is Capricorn by Prometheus, and all interpretations are my own. I do not use AI. I actually do have a notebook where I write everything out by hand, and then that's where I do my postings, and that's where how I do my forecasts. So there are astrologers who use AI. I'm not one of them. I like writing my own forecasts. So let's take a look at our forecast for the week. These are the weekly transits for the week of August 3rd through 9th, 2026. The sun begins the week in Cancer and moves into Leo. So welcome to Leo season. The moon starts in Pisces and moves through to Gemini. So that's a lot more stable than it sounds, and I'll go over that. We do have the last quarter moon in Aries on August 5th at 9:54 p.m. Eastern time. So if we have good weather, we should be able to see the moon. Active planets. This sounds more active than it is. There's not a lot of new transits, but when we look at the next two lines, active planets and sign changes, that's why. We have the sun in a transit and the sun changes to Leo, as I mentioned before. Mercury has a transit and moves into Cancer. Venus does have two actual transits, so it's really the busy planet for the week, sort of. And Mars enters Gemini, and I have Chiron here. Chiron is being transited by the nodes of the moon, so I will include that. We do have two long transits with the Neptune and Pluto still carrying on. We are ending those Uranian transits for now. And we do have Chiron working with the north and south nodes of the moon. So our long transits are lightening up, but our retrograde parade is getting longer. We do have Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, and Chiron all retrograde at this time. So here we go. Get my doodle tool up. Okay, so everything above this dotted line are old transits from last week. And you can see we do have the three long transits right here with Chiron and Neptune. And then we do have the Uranian transits ending this week, giving us a breath of fresh air in that respect. Not really ending, but moving out of 1 degree of exact. So they will still be there, just much, much less intense. And then we do have Chiron moving station retrograde. You'll feel it most intense on Monday, and that'll be over by Tuesday. In new transits, we do have the Sun trining Saturn, and then we do have the Sun entering Leo. We do have Venus trining Pluto and Neptune, but it's not changing signs. We do have over here, we do have Mercury in a square to Chiron, and Mercury very nicely, which I think this is a very supportive change for this transit. Mercury is transiting into Cancer. And I think that's actually very supportive of this Chiron square. And finally, on Sunday, we do have Mars entering, I'll come up with something. Mars entering Gemini. So we do have a lot of planetary changes. And if you look at the transits for the week, there's not really a lot going on. We do have the endings. We do have this one in the middle-ish of the week, late to the end of the week. But Sunday, it really does pick up. And next week, we'll be very busy. And let me clear that out so you can see that. Clear all drawings. And then finally, we do have the moon. It begins the week in Pisces. Wednesday morning, it's in Aries. Thursday afternoon, it's in Taurus. Sunday morning, it enters Gemini. So the moon is actually very stable this week. You know, these are the Pisces and Taurus are very long transits in and of themselves. Pisces is one of the larger signs of the in the constellation in the zodiac belt, and Taurus is the largest, I think, of the smaller signs. So we do, outside of that short blurb in Aries, we do, with the last quarter moon in there, we do actually have a fairly stable lunar forecast this week. Okay, now I gotta close this out. There we go, end the show. And I did try doing the pictures again. Didn't work so well. The hand and finger started getting numb. So back to this. I'm going to begin with the long transits, and then we are going to go to the transits that are ending, the lunar phase or lunar transit, and then we'll begin the new transits for the week. So ending this week, we do have the two Uranian transits. So let me circle Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Taurus. Uranus is teaching you to be your authentic self, being true to who you really are at heart. And in Taurus, it's finding the peace, strength, and stability that comes from that. And first we have it in a trine to Pluto in Capricorn. Now, a trine is a supportive energy. A little bit of effort goes a long way. So this is a very easy transit to have success with. Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto is deep in is doing the deep work of transformation and healing. It's healing the deep soul wound. And it is, like I said, transformation. And in Capricorn, it's doing the work of transformation and deep healing and change. In retrograde, this is a time where you're reflecting. Am I doing that deep work? Am I healing? Am I really changing? Or am I just going with the flow and whatever? So ideally, as you become more authentic, this is supporting you in that work, in the inner work of transformation. And retrograde is inner work. Just to give you an analogy here, think of project management. Hey, I want to make a cake. So the first thing I want to do is get my recipe, make sure I got all the ingredients, and then I can go do the work of blending everything together, getting, putting it in the oven, baking it, and letting it cool so I can have cake. So retrograde is that point where you're reflecting on everything. So as you're finding that peace and inner strength and that peace and strength that comes from being our authentic self, how is that supporting me in doing the work of this inner healing and inner transformation? Am I allowing it to do that, or am I falling into what I call now the shadow? The shadow of Uranus in Taurus is rebellion. And it can be that pointless rebellion, being a bull in a china shop, just breaking things just to get a reaction from people, or it's also selling out and giving into the expectations of others out of laziness. And this trine is a slippery slide downhill fast. And Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto, instead of deep healing, instead of doing the work of healing and transformation, focuses and fixates on the darkness, nihilism, cynicism, hurting yourself. And in Capricorn, this fuels loneliness and isolation. So as you're acting out or selling out, are you hurting yourself and isolating yourself and leaving yourself lonely? That's part one. I'm kind of doing this backwards. That's okay. And then we do have, I'll do this because I've got it started. Whoops. Pluto in a sextile to Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces is don't just do something, be there, be present. Are you being, in retrograde, are you being present? Are you being spiritually aware? Are you connecting to your higher self or with the divine as you perceive it? So Neptune in Taurus, as you find the peace and strength that comes with your authentic self, is that creating an interest or excitement, sextile, with your connection to the divine and your ability to be present? Or as you're acting out and selling it out of laziness and brute force just to get a reaction from people, it's creating a sense of nervousness, and that is fueling the shadow of Neptune and Pisces. And in retrograde, this is internal. You're living in this internal fantasy, this internal illusion, this internal delusion. You may be even confusing yourself with this fantasy and just living in a world that just doesn't exist. These are two long transits that are ending. The long transit that is continuing is Neptune, one of two, is Neptune in Pisces. And it's a sextile to Pluto in Capricorn. So Neptune in Pisces, are you being spiritually aware? Are you being spiritually present? Are you connecting to your higher self or to the divine? And with all that, how's that creating the excitement or interest, sextile? And you're doing the work of inner transformation, inner healing, and healing these deep soul wounds. That's the ideal. The shadow, as you get lost in this this inner world of fantasy and illusion and delusion, how is that fueling nervousness, which leads to your inner wounding, getting lost, getting more focused on cynicism, nihilism, which leads to isolation and loneliness. And this is just all more deeply wounding. That is one of two long transits that is going on. And our other long transit that's going on deals with the nodes of the moon and Chiron in Pisces. So now in reality, it's the nodes of the moon transiting Chiron, because the nodes of the moon in their orbit circle about, I think it's a little over 18 years. I think it's like 18.6 years or something like that. But it's just over 18 years. And Chiron's orbit is 50 years. So really, it's the nodes of the moon triggering Chiron. And the nodes of the moon are about your destiny in healing it. South node, and the ideal, is making you aware of how you hold yourself back. In Leo, pointless drama, whether it's the drama king and drama queen demanding attention, is that childish ego, either which one is childish egocentric. But in one way, that egocentric child is acting out and demanding everybody pay attention. Are you doing that to yourself? So a South Node ideally is making you aware if you're doing that, saying, stop it, it's not working for you. The other thing the South Node can be doing in Leo is making you aware of where you're trying to be the cowardly lion and hide away so nobody notices you. So if the South Node's doing its work, it's pointing about how you're holding yourself back with this childish egocentricity. And as you become aware of that, this supports Chiron and Pisces. Chiron, we said, is healing, but you're reflecting on healing. So you're looking at the wounds that were caused by this childish egocentricity. Are you able to understand them from a higher perspective and then be able to heal and release them? Are you doing that? So that's what's happening right now with the South Node and Chiron. Now, the North Node is in Aquarius, and this is also how you heal the South Node, and this is how you address the South Node problems. The North Node in Aquarius is making your destiny and your purpose in life authentic to you. Key here with the South Node and the North Node is to look at where they are in your birth chart, and then that's how you're making your life's purpose, your natal North Node, your life's purpose authentic and unique to yourself. So the North Node in its ideal is helping you to become aware of how to make your destiny unique to you. And that creates an interest in your being able to heal and release wounds. And you're able to understand things again from a higher perspective so you can heal them and release them. The shadow, the South Node, instead of making you aware of that childish egocentricity, you live it out. You're repeating the mistakes of the past, demanding the attention, or trying to hide away so people don't see you. That creates a slippery slope downhill. This is a big mess fast, and that leads to deeper wounding. You're trying to numb the pain, escape the pain any way you can, even living in childish fantasy. I'm not the one who's hurt. They are, projectionism. So as you're rehashing these pointless dramas in the past, you're wounding and you're hurting yourself internally, and you're trying to numb the pain. And you're just trying to numb the pain and escape, and it's just not working. You're living in this fantasy that it can be done. And the shadow of the North Node, instead of you becoming more authentic, you're either acting out and doing something to get a reaction from people, or you're selling out just to fit in, and get it over with, and letting people boss you around and push you around. And that creates a sense of nervousness, which fuels, again, that wounding. And you're just trying to numb and escape the pain any way you can. Boom, boom, boom. So that's all that. And I think I've talked about Chiron and Pisces. That is happening. We did talk about that. We did about how Chiron is healing and releasing wounds and understanding them from a higher perspective. That's the ideal that it's going into retrograde. So you're reflecting on, are you doing that? Or are you reliving the wounds, rehashing the wounds, in fact, tearing them open and making them worse, or wounding others? Chiron can also serve as inspiration, and Pisces can serve as inspiration to others with the same wounds, so you can help them heal. So we do have that ending this week. I apologize for jumbling things up just a little bit. And also, last but not least, let's cover the moon, because we are beginning the week with the moon in Pisces. And with this, we will transition to the new transits and the other changes that we have going on. So we begin the week with the moon in Pisces, seeking inspiration. Seeking inspiration and a fresh vision for your life, and taking quiet time to embrace the opportunities that come to you for spiritual growth. So this is kind of emotionally a downtime. You're slowing down to pay attention and listen to your heart and listen to your spirit. And that's where we're beginning. Monday and Tuesday, we don't have anything new happening. I'm going to pull this over. Yes. Wednesday. I'm going to go late Wednesday. Actually, I'm going to go early Wednesday first so we can get the moon in Aries first. And then I will move to the other two transits that are happening. So Aries in the moon in Aries. The moon is your emotional self, and in Aries, time to get up off the meditation cushion and get up and take action. Have the courage to face the challenges of life and assert your feelings and defend your needs. So this is a time for you to emotionally stand up and defend yourself. In time of taking action. The shadow here is the moon falls into fear. So it's emotional moodiness and irrationality falling into this fear. And that can come across as anger and temper tantrums or cowardice, or trying to hide away, quiet resentment, being bullied. This is really the bully or bully, one of the bullying situations. But that's the moon. That happens on Wednesday. And I'm going to close this out. I'm going to jump to here on Thursday because we do have the sun. The sun begins this transit in Cancer and then moves into Leo. And this is a trine. This is the sun trining Saturn in Pisces. So with the sun in Cancer, you're learning self-care. Now, as the sun moves into Leo, the aim of Leo is, with sun in Leo, you're learning to stand up and be seen and be appreciated. So yeah, with the sun entering Leo, stand up, focus on standing up, being seen, expressing yourself appropriately. Find your outlets, creative and otherwise, that allow you to showcase your talents and abilities. This is time to rise and shine and be seen. Now, with the sun, we also have, I'm going to cover these backwards. Okay, they're a little out. They're going to go a little out. It seem out of sequence, but really, yes and no. I'll just deal with it. It's been one of those days. I'm sorry. With Saturn in Pisces retrograde, you're reflecting on your spiritual growth and spiritual maturity. So as you're emotionally taking care of yourself, how is that helping to strengthen your spiritual growth and your spiritual maturity? As you're standing up and being seen and being willing to expressing your talents and expressing your abilities, how is that again supporting your spiritual growth and spiritual maturity? The shadow here, sun in Cancer, is defensive, and it can take swipes at people. It can try to hide away and be invisible. Or the shadow of the sun in Leo, is that drama queen, drama king playing out in the stage, demanding attention, or it's that cowardly lion trying to hide away. But either which way, it's that egocentric child playing out on the world stage, demanding to be seen, trying to hide away. And that trine is a slippery slope downhill. And with Saturn in Pisces, instead of spiritual maturity, this I refer to as religious fundamentalism. It's becoming that control freak. Saturn can be pessimistic and cynical, and living in this fantasy that if it imposes its rules on people, things will just be okay. So you can look at this as being the child having the temper tantrum, thinking that if it controls everybody or can control situations in some way, shape, manner, form, everything will just work out better. Not going to happen. So we do have the sun entering Leo, where you're standing up and being seen, and then it's trining Saturn, where that you're looking to see how when you showcase yourself, that is supporting your spiritual growth. Also happening, and this is more happening on the 5th, and so I'm going to jump back to the 5th where this is more evident. Close enough for government work. You're going to have the sun in Leo squaring the moon in Aries. So this is pretty cool because this is really, it just squares our challenges. And they're also, they squares are challenges whose purpose is to strengthen you. So emotionally, you're up for a challenge. And this is strengthening your ability to stand up and be seen and present yourself to the world. This is, to me, really cool and really good. Because emotionally you're ready to showcase yourself, and the sun is getting ready to stand up and be seen. So in your sun self is like, let's stand up, be seen, let's get up and go out and do this. And emotionally you're like, yeah, ready, yeah, ready, let's go. And a challenge, and this is a challenge, swear is a challenge that's designed to strengthen you. Think of it as a stepping stone. So you're up for the challenge of being seen. Now the shadow here, the square is a stumbling block or a crushing burden. So the moon, we said, was being emotional and irrational and overly emotional and living in fear. And this can come out as cowardice and anger. This becomes a stumbling block that fuels that egocentric child that's either having the temper tantrum out on the world stage or it's trying to hide away and not be seen. That actually kind of worked out a little bit better than I thought it would. So let's clear this out. Close this out because late on Thursday, we have moon entering Taurus. So after all that hard work of standing up and being seen, emotionally Thursday, you're ready to sit back, relax, take a breath, take a break, relax, let go of the stresses of life and calm down, learn to be patient with yourself, take the opportunities for peace and quiet or rest as they arise. So this is a time for an emotional break. The shadow here, the moon, like I said, can be irrational and emotional, and in Taurus, you can just be lazy, just bumping a log and not doing anything. Or it can be that bull in a china shop. If you thought Aries was damaging, I used to work on a farm, and I'll tell you what, if that bull is just sitting there, you're okay. But when it gets running, gets up, and it starts doing a certain trot, you get out because if you've ever seen a bullfighter get thrown, yeah, they get seriously hurt. Bull in a china shop, seriously injuring yourself, doing damage, and at the end of the day, you're the one that gets hurt the most. Okay. Now, Friday, let's clear that out. Close that out and go Friday, the end of the day, just because it looks a little bit better. Friday, late Friday evening, Mercury enters Cancer. Mercury, learning and communicating, Cancer. Your needs to be cared for. So you're learning how to care for yourself and how to communicate those needs. And also about taking a mental break and giving your mind a little bit of a rest, learning what self-care means to you, learning about your needs, how to meet them, and being able to share them with others. And also learn compassion towards yourself and towards other people as well. Now, the shadow, Mercury can be that mind that's running out of control. And in Cancer, it can become defensive. So you've got those claws and you take swipes at people. This is another way of, when I say words that wound, there's many ways I can use that. Here, you're wounding people with the words, and those are the pincers of the claws of the crab. You can also become defensive and try to hide away and not be seen. So watch out for that defensive attitude that can blind you to opportunities to rest, also leave you feeling drained, feeling mentally drained and exhausted, and you can hurt others and you hurt yourself as well. And be careful of wounds that can be seen as attacks, even if they're unintended. So you have to be careful with what you're saying and what you're learning. Now, Saturday, we don't have any new transits. We're going to go to Sunday. Let's see okay, that goes too far. Okay. I'm going to go actually later Sunday morning. There we go. I'll live with this. Okay, Sunday morning, We're going to do the 2 planets and the moon and Mars entering Gemini, and then I'm going to cover the other transits for the day. So I'm going to start with the moon because that enters first. Emotionally, you time to let go of your old ideas and update your information. Get some new ideas, some new information. Look for opportunities to learn to appear. And this, you can look at this as being learning emotional intelligence. So look to grow emotionally and get more information on that. The shadow is this out of control mind that's just racing, and it's being fueled by irrational emotions and getting out of control that can leave you feeling mentally exhausted. You're rehashing the same old scenarios in your mind over and over again, and you're just getting stuck in these mental arguments. Gemini transit number 1. Gemini transit number 2 is Mars enters Gemini today. So Mars, learning courage and asserting your needs or your desire to do what? Gemini, learn to stand up for what you believe and what you think, and learn how to communicate it appropriately. Have the courage to also ask questions and defend what you believe and defend what you want to learn and why you want to learn it. So it's having the courage to learn, having the courage to grow, having the courage to communicate. And be willing to deal with uncomfortable situations and answers. These have the strength to open your mind to new information. Now, I do want to draw a distinction between Gemini and Sagittarius, because I see these differently. Gemini is going to the library. So to me, this is going to school. This is going to the library. This is going to school. This is where you're learning these skills. Sagittarius is where you go out and apply them in the real world. So look at this as Mars going to school to learn to have the courage to speak up and say, assertiveness training would be great to take right now. So assertiveness training classes, absolutely. The shadow, Mars falls into fear. That comes out as anger. So the temper blowing up, this comes out as fear, trying to hide away. Cowardly lion, the cowardly lion. And in Gemini, this is a mind that is out of control and shutting down. Either it thinks it knows everything, or it can't learn anything new, or there's nothing new to learn. So, be careful of getting caught in this war of words and engaging in mindless attacks that leads to everybody hurting and nobody learning. Also, be careful of not speaking up and being seen as afraid or a coward, being a pushover. Bad. Clear all drawings. Now I'm going to go to the end of the day. There we go. And we do have 3 transits to close out the day. I'm going to start with Mercury in Cancer. And like I say, this is really cool because I think this is really supportive. It's a challenge. It's a square. Squares are challenges, and these challenges are here to strengthen you. So Mercury in Cancer is you're learning to take care of your needs. You're learning to take care of yourself and meet your needs, meet them intellectually, but meeting your needs, learning to take care of yourself. And this is a strengthening and supporting Chiron in Pisces, your ability to heal and release wounds. So as you're learning this new information about self-care, how is this helping you? Is this helping you heal and release these wounds? Maybe even understand the wounds from a higher perspective so that you can heal them and release them. Like I said, this was really cool when I saw it. This is going to, even though it's going to be a quick transit, it's going to be powerful. The shadow here is this mind out of control that's becoming defensive. Squares are stumbling blocks and crushing burdens. So as the mind gets out of control, becoming defensive, this is a crushing burden that has you hurting yourself, potentially hurting others, and you're trying to numb the pain and escape it any way you can, and basically living in this illusion. So it's a refusal to learn that's hurting you and wounding you more deeply. Clear all drawings. And then our final 2 transits involve Venus in Virgo. My friend Dr. Danny is probably going to have a lot to say about these two transits. I'm going to draw both of them in here. First, we have Venus in Virgo in a trine to Pluto. And we said trine is a support. So Venus in Virgo is becoming more skilled in relationships and creativity. That's the best way to say it, because Virgo looks to get to improve itself and become better. So this is a time for you to develop your relationship skills, develop your creativity, develop your artistic abilities, whether this is the physical mediums or varying types of music. I would even dare say theater might go in here as well. Theater could go in Leo as well. But you're developing your relationship skills, you're developing your artistic abilities. Very powerful. And this is a trine which is supporting. So as you're healing, as you're developing your relationship skills, how is this helping you to heal and release these deep soul wounds? Because some of these wounds could be relationship based, or caused by hurts from other people. As you become more skilled in your ability to relate to people, boom, this can help you heal and release those wounds. Are your relationships and the people you're connecting with helping you to heal? Good question to ask. How is art a healing experience? The shadow, Venus in Virgo. Venus can be slick and manipulative. It's also very lazy. But Virgo can be this perfectionist and hold itself to unrealistic expectations. So this is trying to control people and force them to be something that they're not, or force yourself to being something that you're not in your relationships, or forcing yourself to be creative in a way that you aren't. And that is a slippery slope downhill into deep soul wounding, which leads to loneliness and more isolation. So as you're falling into being this control freak, how is that hurting your relationships? How is that hurting yourself? And then our other transit is in opposition to Neptune in Pisces. So improving your relationship skills or improving your creativity. Opposition is a time of reflection and balance. Excuse me. 1 second. Neptune in Pisces, don't just do something, be present, become spiritually aware. As you're becoming more skilled in your relationships, how is this helping you connect to the divine? Are you able to see others as reflections of the divine, and how is that helping you connect? Or art as a spiritual experience? Are your artistic experiences helping you connect to your higher self and spirit in providing spiritual experiences? The shadow is that control freak. And then opposition is an imbalance and a power struggle. Neptune in Pisces is lost in this fantasy. So as you're trying to control people, you're getting lost in this power struggle. You're on this power struggle, thinking in this idle fantasy that you can somehow control people, or somehow you're a better artist than you really are. And that's a fueled fantasy, and it's a fool's errand, honestly. And it's just it pulls your life out of balance. And again, that can leave you're living in an illusion, leaving you alone and isolated. And those are our transits for the week. Clear all drawings, close, and let's pop this up. So got this all in one reading this week, thankfully. Current slide. So do follow me on social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I do daily deep dives, which is what I post on Facebook and Instagram. I'm also on the digital soul space. These three are making billions of dollars from your data and not giving you much of it. Digital Soul Space is hosted on Mighty Networks, and your data is yours, and they focus on your privacy. So you get to decide how your data is used and whom you can share, and if it can be shared or not. And I call this the spiritual safe space of the internet. It's a troll-free zone. 4 great moderators that keep the bullies and the garbage out. And they are 4 amazing moderators. I think it's Michael, Anne-Marie, Kimber, and Is it Michelle? Oh gosh, I can't remember her name. Slips my mind. It'll come back to me. But we have 4 great moderators, wide variety of spiritual topics. I do astrology. There are other astrologers on there as well. We have people who do tarot, various forms of oracle decks, crystals, incredibly wide variety of spiritual practices. Um, spiritual art, you name it, it's on there. If you've got a question, ask, someone will give an answer, and it is now free. No longer subscription based, it's free. They're running it like PBS. Hey, we're going to do a little fund drive here. Make a donation. What's it worth to you? 100% of what is donated goes to pay for the site. Michael Robert does all the work to maintain the site for free. He does it as a labor of love, providing a great community to people. So do check him out. It's free, nothing to lose, everything to gain. So do check me out on social media. I do readings. If you want to see how your chart changes from tropical astrology to true sky sidereal or to the quick six key points, I do birth chart or natal chart readings. Birth chart in evolutionary astrology is your birth contract. It's not who you are, it's who you came here to become. It's your end all goal. It's the goal line, what you want to achieve in life. I do what's called a karmic or a past life reading. This focuses on the nodes of the moon. If you're facing a certain challenge in life, why is this pattern always repeating? Why is this always happening to me? Chances are it's related to the nodes of the moon. I can help you understand what the pattern is and then how to heal it and release it. And I do horoscopes, any year long, that's 12 months in a row, any 3 months in a row, or any month in a row. So it's any 30 days. And it can also be new moon to new moon, or first of the month to the last of the month. I'm easy. I do have packages, and right now, all the way through August 28th, I am on Summer Hours, which has me available Tuesday through Friday afternoons, 1 o'clock through 5-ish or something like that. But I am available in the afternoon now. If those hours don't work for you, do contact me. I'm willing to stay up late and get up earlier if I need to. Actually, I've done some readings for people in Australia, which is really cool. Thank you very much. Do like, follow, and share this. Sign up for the newsletter. Get on my website. It's a pop-up. All I need is an email address, and you get a once-a-week newsletter sharing all these insights. All this information, a few other things that I'll throw in. And if you're looking for a discount, that's where I give them. Thank you very much. Like, follow, share, sign up for the newsletter. Remember, invisible sky, your life changes. Thank you very much, everyone. Have yourself the best week possible, and welcome to Leo season.